of it this season. As Freddie gets hot, it's over.
Cannon Peebles with the cannon shot. The pinch hitter hits it out. Pitch hit high in the air towards right center field. At the fence, a leap at the wall, and that ball is gone. There it is. Cannon Peebles gets his first big orange flash. There he goes to second. Swing and a miss. The throw down. In time. Cannon Peebles guns him down. Cannon Peebles. The 2-2. Hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Rogers. Cannon Peebles has delivered a 2-run pinch hit flash. Couldn't have been better timed. And oh, by the way, that is 8 straight.
I see dead people.
Yo, what is up, everybody? You hear the song in the background, so you know what that means. It is time again for another In Off the Bench podcast episode. And tonight, titled appropriately, Whatever It Takes, because we're talking to Tennessee baseball star Cannon Peebles. But before Cannon joins us, Jim, we got to pay the bills around here. In Off the Bench podcast is brought to you by Chinook Seedery. Whether you're on the field or in the boardroom signing them deals, Chinook will help you get the job done. Memphis City Designs, get your brands, gear, and logos on everything from shoes to underoos. You can also get your In Off the Bench podcast gear while supplies last. Relief Chiropractic. If you're in the zone, then you need to know. Go see Dr. Vic Robinson at Relief Chiropractic. He's putting years on folks' lives every day. Rehab, rehabilitation, you name it, he's got you covered. Finally, Old Dominic Distillery. Experience 150 years of tradition in the heart of downtown Memphis. From bourbon to vodka, whiskey to gin, Old Dominic's got you covered. Stop in today for a free tour, or you can just pick up your favorite bottle. And as always, tell them Jim, tell them DB from the In Off the Bench crew sent you. Jim, the bills have been paid. We're going to bring the music down a little bit, and we're going to welcome on to the show with the biggest interview in podcasting this week, our man, Cannon Peebles.
Ken, how you doing tonight, bro?
Doing great. How are you?
Man, doing good, except my host, man, did not read the notes. I told him to come in with Akon locked up. He ain't know the walk-up song.
So in my defense, I couldn't find a clean version of Akon locked up. And out of the gate, it's a lot of bad words. So yeah. I was able to find Kendrick Lamar clean version. So there you go.
Kind of wildly amazing you could find that. So
when I was searching versions, it was one of the few that popped up, and I was like, I can't believe this. I just listened to it because I really couldn't believe it.
I thought I was going to have to. If Cannon let it slide, I'll let it slide. I mean, he's a guy that I feel like demands excellence, Daniel. So he may not be, impressed. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, you know what, Cannon? I appreciate everything that you do, but if you're not, if my song selection is what shakes you, I'm really, really worried about this upcoming season for you, man.
No, but that's a perfect segue. I gotta ask, man. Cannon, y'all have been living it up, whether Morgan Wallen concerts, the football games at Tennessee, man, y'all got wiffle ball home run derbies, man. Talk to me about life on Rocky Top before we get in your story, because it just seems like, man, on top of winning a national championship, it couldn't be more fun than where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a good time, like everywhere you go, it's just a good time. There's so many fans that surround Tennessee. Like, you have some schools in Tennessee, but like back home in Virginia, it's like it's kind of segmented or separated to where it's like Virginia Tech or Virginia or whatever. Here it's just Tennessee. Like it's nothing as far as Vanderbilt or anything in Tennessee. It's just Tennessee. And so I think it's crazy that, you have so many fans. And so wherever you go, it's, a great environment and you have a great time.
Yeah. So convince me right now. I told Daniel earlier, one of our great Vols listeners, who's probably watching this, got a great name, always the Volin, sent me tickets, said I need to experience Neyland at night because I've never done it before. But 6-hour drive for me, lose an hour Eastern time, convince me that that environment is something that I just can't pass on, and I need to find my way there no matter what.
It's a different type of loud. I don't think you understand, and you're never going to understand until you go there and you figure it out yourself. Because I didn't go to many football games last year, but this year I really kind of, made effort to go, and it's crazy, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
I've never
it's
heard.
funny you say a different type of loud, and what I've realized, because I was watching the clip of as an LSU fan, Nussmeier talking about Tiger Stadium is the loudest, but whether you're talking about Neyland, Tiger Stadium, obviously I just watched them when they were down at College Station. Daniel, I'm convinced 100,000 people yelling is like, it's just loud, period. Like, I could not imagine playing in that kind of environment, but y'all's fans, y'all bring it. I said that last year, and we're going to get into Tennessee baseball, but I told Daniel, man, I was there for the postseason, and I don't care that the Baum Walker or Duty Noble or obviously Alex Box hold as many people as they did. The 6,500, 7,000, whatever it was at Lindsey Nelson just hit different, man. So electric. And I think that matters more than numbers than anything when you have a passionate fan base, and the Vols fan base per all sports. It's an everything school, one of the few schools I believe is an everything school. Just absolutely bring it, obviously. But, staying on the music topic, y'all had Morgan Wallen come on the field. If Cannon Peebles could pick any artist that he wants, his favorite artist, who would be on that field doing a concert next?
Oh, God. Well, I don't know. I'd probably change the genre just because we already got country. I'd probably go J. Cole.
Nice.
He's not from here at all, but he's from Charlotte.
That's mine and Daniel's tempo. We're not the biggest country guys, so that'd be more a vibe. So Daniel knows some people. Go ahead and call him up, Daniel. Get this done for Cannon. Tell him national champion needs it to happen. Think you can do it, Daniel?
Yeah, I got him on my favorites right now. Let me just plug in old J. Cole.
Sounds good.
But next question I'm gonna ask you on the icebreaker. Favorite baseball movie, man. This has been a fun, hot topic. Everybody's been all over. There's so many baseball movies. What's yours?
Classic Sandlot.
Sandlot, can't go wrong. I mean, there's really been no bad answers. We've had Major League, Moneyball, Rookie of the Year, all sorts of stuff. Baseball's just got Field of Dreams, which, by the way, Daniel, we didn't talk about that. Ike Irish saying, what's the one, where they come out of the cornfields? Baffles me. I understand that movie's made before its time. You got to know the name of Field of Dreams. Come on, Ike, be better. But
yeah,
Bull
I don't
Durham.
know if that's
Bull Durham.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know if that's a generational thing, Jim, that he doesn't know the name of that movie, or if that's just a lack of watching good baseball movies.
Well, I'm not surprised Cannon knew Bull Durham, even with as old as it is, because he's a catcher, man. He's got to, which, thinking of, how much you love Major League and thinking of a lot of these movies, it really is surrounded a lot around just the catcher and pitcher duo. We, obviously for love of the game, we talk about that battery is where it's at. I think that's a pivotal thing. But last question, man, and we're going to get into your story, Cannon. Speaking of catchers, for you, who's your favorite catcher of all time?
All time? Johnny Bench, most likely. I'm a huge fan of Pete Rose. And so whoever likes Pete Rose or whoever Pete Rose likes, I like. And so that's why I kind of figure that my favorite would probably be Johnny Bench. Nowadays,
so would you saying Pete Rose, I got a question for you because we talked about it when it happened in real time. Would it be a disservice to him if they put him in now after he passed in the Hall of Fame? Do you feel like just leave him out now? Don't do it because he died?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we haven't had a single guy that has came on here and not said that he should have been in the first place. I don't think any respectable baseball player doesn't feel that way. It's crazy, man. Dude just brought it.
Yeah, I agree. He should be in there no matter what happened.
All right, Cannon. The audience, they want to know, man. They want to know about you. So let's get into it. Where are you from? what's home? Where is home?
Ashland, Virginia. It's a small town
Ashland.
north of Richmond.
All right, north of Richmond. Tell me a little bit about Ashland. If I went there, what's the one thing I need to do, see, touch, taste, smell, hear, witness, experience? The one thing.
It's a small town, but I think if you went to Ashland, that's where. Have you ever heard of King's Dominion
I have.
amusement park? Yeah, that's
Yep.
exactly. That's around 5 minutes away to where I live, and if anybody's visiting anywhere around there, I think you should visit King's Dominion. It's a good time.
What's the go-to ride? I feel like it's been around a minute. They probably got like a wooden roller coaster that's probably like older than dirt, but it's like the favorite.
Yeah, they
What-
got one called the Grizzly. It's pretty.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's pretty old and it's pretty shaky, kind of
pretty
scary.
rough. You got to
Yeah.
sign a few waivers before you get on that
I mean,
thing.
there was a roller coaster called the Zip and Pippin in Memphis that we grew up on that was shaky then, and they relocated it to another place. So I can only imagine the idea of people who ride this, a shaky roller coaster, Daniel, that was moved to another place.
I mean,
it's only be more shaky.
Can't say that I didn't ride the old Zip and Pippin a few times in my day. So wasn't good then, and it's probably still not good now. But looking at the family dynamic, you got brothers, sisters, mom, dad, everybody in the picture. What's it look like?
I got a sister, mom, and dad.
All right, older sister, younger
Yeah, older
sister.
sister by about like 2.5 years, and then my parents split apart when I was around 13 years old. So I have a stepmom now. My dad is remarried, and then my mom is seeing somebody. So
Gotcha. So is it very close knit? I mean, I don't want to pry into personal stuff, but I mean, you hear many stories about many different dynamics when it comes to, when parents split and they go one way or the other. Is it civil now? Are they real supportive? How does that work when you're on the road, you're traveling, or even when you're playing games up in Knoxville?
yeah, no, everything's great. We have a great relationship with everybody. Like
Good.
it's kind of like a family, like one big family now. Especially when you're around, like when we go on the road, like in Omaha. I mean, it's not like I'm ever gonna go to 2 separate dinners or anything like that, but everybody gets along, and so it's good that I can just go and spend time with everybody, and kind of get my family time in one sitting.
I figured as much because when we, are at least Jim, for the most part, when he's out and he sees your fan base, and when I was in Omaha, he's pointing out different people, introducing me to different parents and families. And, he talked about your dad in particular, just being the guy that talks to everybody, roots for everybody's kid, and wants everyone just to really do well, and very supportive guy. So it doesn't shock me to know that, being the situation with the family early on and where you are now, like that everyone is supportive of each other, because, Jim did make a point to note that to me. He was like, hey man, this guy's dad, he's like roots for everybody. I would probably say he roots for the other team too, just to have a safe game and play well and lose, but obviously just,
He's competitive. He's still competitive.
So, but long story short,
Daniel,
good dude,
I think that's what makes Cannon who he is, man. Just meeting him, he's a team guy, and I think, man, we talk to a lot of guys, and the values are taught at home, and I see the way his dad is, and I mean, I think that's something that probably he instilled in him to be a guy who, man, supports everybody that he plays with.
Be team first, man. Team first, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, because we see it many examples on a day-to-day basis with you, Cannon, and how you support the team and how you're team first. But obviously, we'll get into the run and all the special moments of this past season, because it does take a team to do that. It takes guys like you that are unselfish to make that happen. And for you, it doesn't surprise me that a guy of your stature, a guy of your character, you're walking around first team All-State, first team All-Metro, first team All-Region. I mean, all world during your time at Hanover High in Virginia. You were class 4 state champion in the spring of 22. You hit 543, 653 on base percentage, and a 902 slugging percentage your senior season. I mean, there wasn't much that you weren't hitting that season. It was like the ball must have looked like a beach ball to you. You finished with a on base slugging percentage of 1.667, which is ungodly. And then you enter the college as a perfect game's top ranked catcher out of Virginia. I mean, you talk about development from high school and travel ball. How are you able to just develop as a player, but also have so much success in those crucial years of development?
Yeah, so it's kind of a cool story. In my opinion, before 2020, I was not very good. And I kind of got lucky because when COVID hit, pro guys got sent home, right? And so at my high school, there was a big leaguer named Andrew Kisner who went to NC State and then and now he's in the big leagues, played with the Rangers last year. I got to work out with him one day because he needed somebody to like feed the machine for him. And then it turned into a relationship, and then he started helping me out and then helping me develop my skills. And now all of a sudden, now I'm going to his wedding in December. So we kind of created that relationship. And then, so I think that was like the biggest part of my development, especially as a catcher. And then another huge part was I actually started switch hitting when I met him. So I've only been switch hitting for about 5 years now. And then another kid named Seth Keller, who's my best friend back home. I mean, we would just 3 hours a night in the cage. And so, if that was kind of the biggest thing was working with those two guys and having guys around me, that had the same mentality. I think that really put me, where I needed to be in high school.
Jim, so in order to have a trajectory to be a big league player like Cannon, you've got to befriend a pro baseball player. You've got to feed the machine for him. You've got to earn a wedding invite. And then you got to drag your best friend to do the same thing every single night. So there's the recipe.
We have the blueprint. Speaking of big leaguer, Mike Hughes told me to tell you need to come out of retirement and pitch for the Yankees because they just ain't getting it done out of the pen. You think you still got it at 40?
At 40? Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do any worse. I mean, I could definitely give up a grand slam walk-off to Freddie Freeman, 100%. I could do that.
I feel
So
like
if that's the bar, I got you.
I feel like if there's anything that you could do, like I'm seeing way too many walks before we came on here with Cannon. I know you as a strike thrower, you're not giving up all those free bases. If anything, you're cutting that out.
No, I'm definitely going to challenge guys. I mean, if they hit the ball over the wall, so be it. But I'm gonna fill the zone up.
You bring
I might catch a lot of the plate.
You're just gonna come in for I'm like, look, I brought my own catcher with me.
Yeah. It's like a home run. It'll definitely be like actual home run derby. I'll have my own catcher, and I'll throw, and they'll still hit home runs, and it'll be great.
What do you
Good
think?
entertainment.
I know this episode's supposed to be about Cannon, but I'm sure Cannon's curious too. If you really revved it up, stretch, put in the session, all that, what's the hardest you think you could throw right now?
A blistering 80, maybe mid 80s, maybe.
I mean, you say that. That's not bad at 40, dude.
Yeah, but that's me guessing, and
you never know though.
Very true. I mean, I might get out there and Henry Rowan Gardner that thing.
Yeah, that cut
96
will be way better than it was in 2002. I'm trying to tell you.
Shoot, I'd be over there. I guess I could go to the Yankees spring training facility and just knock on the door and be like, "Hey, I heard you guys were struggling."
That was a movie, Daniel the Rookie. Remember, the dude's changing diapers and then he goes out there slinging 100.
Yeah. No, but Cannon, obviously, I was gonna ask why you chose NC State, but it seems like I kind of have an idea Your boy obviously went there, and I'm sure he had a little bit of influence of you going there, but was it solely just him, or was it the program, the coach, the school? What was it that drove you to NC State?
No, so I was actually committed to Old Dominion in high school. And then I was probably committed to them for probably about 2 years. And they were great. They were great to me. And they were great to my boy too. But after I met him, like NC State was one of the top schools in mind for me, as far as like a happy medium to where I could go in and be an All-American. And once I got that opportunity, I found out I got that opportunity through him because one of their catchers got hurt. So then I got the opportunity for an offer. Obviously, I had to decommit before that. There's legal stuff that goes on there. But anyways, I ended up decommitting and then committing to NC State, a little bit later. But that's kind of how I got the opportunity. But it was always up there for sure, like my early years in high school before I committed at all.
So was the Old Dominion thing because you hadn't peaked yet, or was it because they were on you super early? Because it's interesting because you said really early on, and we talked to so many guys that are glad that the rules have changed, right? Because they commit maybe to a school that they can do better than, they just don't know it at the time.
Yeah. No, I think it was because I didn't peak then. I committed around COVID-19 wasn't a thing yet when I committed, but it came on early after. And then so once I started to develop, I realized I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do whatever I want with this sport. It's just a matter of what type of work I'm going to put into it, or what I'm going to put into the sport at all. Because what you put in is what you're going to get back. So that's when I started to realize all that and kind of mature as a player and as a person too. And so, yeah, I think I was committed then because I hadn't peaked yet.
Yeah. So, obviously NC State, you do extremely well, have an amazing freshman year. Don't want to run through that too much. It's really, got a big Tennessee fan base. I really want to know, just for, me and Daniel asking, your freshman year is such a big year, man. It's everything you take in from just the playing experience, practices, nutrition, academics, everything, right, man? What did you learn most as a freshman?
How to handle inconsistent time, because I always thought that I was going to be, you always, as a freshman, I had the perfect scenario made up into my head that I was just going to play every day. Obviously, I had to earn it, and I was working towards that goal. But I kind of had inconsistent playing time until halfway through the season. And so it kind of helped me learn how to become a pro at my work every single day and be consistent. Sometimes I get away from that because I'm so intense and I'm so emotional that I'll get away from being consistent, and I'll try to do too much. And I think that's where that kind of comes into last year. But my freshman year, I think I did a really good job of staying consistent, and I had a lot of good teammates around me that gave me, the good vibe of kind of helping me out and balancing out, all of our personalities and stuff like that. And so I think all of that helped. That's the biggest thing I learned. Really.
Yeah, and clearly, like you said, it's going to come to fruition and helping you as you transition to Tennessee. I do have one question though before we get to Tennessee. Just curious. I was looking at where all you played, and I've been to almost every SEC venue now, but really outside of Wake Forest and NC State, I haven't been to the ACC venues. And I was just curious, man. You played at Miami, Notre Dame, North Carolina. Of those three ballparks, man, which one was the nicest in your opinion?
The nicest, just all around the nicest, I'd say North Carolina.
And that's the one I figured it would probably be. But I don't know anything about going down to Miami.
Yeah, Miami's good too, but UNC kind of has more. I don't know.
You know what sucks about Miami is it could be so much better. Like the backdrop is a parking garage. Like, who want like what do
you want what you got at University? Daniel was a pitching coach at University of Tampa. The first time I go to watch him coaching there, Cannon, I can't believe it. It looks, like when you see these Instagram photos of some of these places that don't look real, like I was like, dang, they get to play with this as the backdrop every day. This is crazy.
Have you seen BYU?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
BYU definitely looks fake. And we had Gavin Taylor on their catcher, and I straight up asked him, I was like, is that real? Like, I had to know, like, is it really look like that? And he was like, yeah, man, it's breath. He goes, there isn't a day that it just doesn't take your breath away. I was like, that's crazy, man. Like, and then you see some of these Charlotte with the MILB park where they were doing the USA games and the cityscape behind it. I was like, golly, man. So yeah, there's a lot of places that I want to go to, but I was curious about the ACC in general because I don't think I'm going to be it's too much good SEC baseball, Cannon, for me to be going to ACC parks. You know what I mean? But
I agree.
So you transfer to Tennessee. At this point, we don't have to ask why anymore. And Billy Amick came on here last year, talking about you and him and other guys specifically. He said it felt like family instantly. He said it was a very seamless transition. Kind of double down and talk about that, like how he said y'all came in the fall and it felt natural. Was he right? Did it feel that way for you?
Yeah. Like everybody came in and just it kind of clicked. It wasn't like, I need to make an effort to like create a relationship with anybody. No, like I think it's because we were all like single-minded. We all had one goal, and like it didn't matter what it took to get there. And so I think we all started to realize that within like a week or so, and it just clicked and everybody got along and it was a fun time for sure.
Daniel, we know that Tony V's the best coach, man, but how much better does it make his job when these guys, man, come together like this? We have them telling they're like that in the fall. Like usually you're trying to work on so many things to get prepared for the season, but man, it sounds like, based upon, what you see, they were ready to go then.
Yeah. It's talent-wise, you guys are loaded, but you don't have to necessarily have the most talent when the culture at Tennessee is what it is. And don't get me wrong, you guys are one of the most talented teams in the country, but I guess what I mean by that is culture matters way more in the grand scheme of things when people are wanting to play for each other and they're wanting to lift each other up and they want to do well or see their teammates do well just because that's what the expectation is. So yeah, man, like being able to see that is huge, but also knowing like from a coaching standpoint, how hard it is to get the right combination of people to make that magic happen. It's tricky. You guys did a good job of that.
Yeah. And perfect, comment you make about a combination because they have a combination of you and Cal Stark, Cannon. Obviously, you get some time behind the plate, you get plenty of DH opportunities, and the reason we titled this episode the way we did is a lot of your teammates say you do whatever it takes, you make the most of your opportunities. We've seen that, and I was going to ask kind of how you got that mentality and that maturity, but you spoke on that with NC State. So instead I'll flip it to a different question. Just talk about that relationship with you and Cal. How important was that, man, for you two to be guys that relied and trust on each other? And, no matter who, was behind the plate, you knew that there was going to be success.
Yeah. I'm going to try to give you the realest answer that I've ever said. I think that it was good for him for me to come in because I think it pushed him. And then even more importantly, I think it was good for me to hang around him every day because if you were not in a good mood around that guy, you have a problem.
That's a you problem, man. Not a
like you have a problem. And so I feel like just coming in and getting all the press or whatnot that I got, I felt like I pushed him to be better. And, like iron sharpens iron. And, that's the realest thing that I could say because, like I said, if you're around him and you got a you problem if you're not in a good mood because he's a great teammate.
And Daniel, what Cannon probably doesn't know is Cal came on here and said as much. he talked about you coming in and it helped motivate him. So I think that just shows, the competitive nature, in him. And I think ultimately it's what's going to bring the best out in you this year, right? To have that, as you say, sharpening each other. And so, I talked about, I was in, LNS I was actually there for the last regular season series against South Carolina, then regionals, super regionals. Dude, that place, absolutely insane. Talk about what it's like, man, being on that field and seeing a fan base like we were talking about at the start of the show. Just, man, so passionate, so involved, rocking. Y'all have so many electric moments. What's it like being a part of that?
It's amazing, and in my opinion, it gives you all the confidence in the world. Like the crowd during the game, it's kind of rattling for the other team. Just like it would be in football. Like I say, it's a different kind of loud, and I just think it's because it means more. Like it's just, I feel like our fans are way more passionate than others, and so when you're playing for them, and they're out there watching you, I think it's that much of an advantage, and it gives you more confidence, and that's what I love about it. That's what I love about the atmosphere there.
Yeah, and it was one of those things, man. It was like a drug for me. I went that first weekend, and they're like, "You want to come back for regionals?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then I come, they're like, "You want to come for super regionals?" I was like, "Yeah." Like if they wanted to just move Omaha to Knoxville, I'd have been game. Like, every weekend was awesome environment, tailgating, the people, the families. And it was just crazy how y'all were clicking on the field, everybody's clicking off the field, like. It was just different, but
I'm not gonna confirm or deny, but I think Jim might have been looking for season tickets this year.
Man,
He enjoyed Airbnb. If you got one, he'll take it off your hands for a few months, from about February to about May.
Let's see. My spring schedule has me for the first time. That ain't true. I actually see Tennessee more on the road, because they're at Ole Miss, which is right down the street, and they're going to be at LSU. So, which that'll be an interesting one, right, Daniel? Like, Cannon, I don't know if you're aware. I think I told you. This episode's important, Daniel, because the race is now in Tennessee's favor. For the first 4 years of In Off the Bench podcast, we call it the In Off the Bench effect. It's a real thing. If people don't want to believe in it, stats don't lie. Whatever team we've had the most guests on from has won the national championship. Cannon coming on, Daniel, makes it 8-7 in Tennessee's favor. We thought A&M was going to get in this mix. They're stuck at 3 because guys keep rescheduling. They better get it together, or they're not going to be in this thing, because y'all are the 3 teams that I think it's y'all against the world. I know that there's a lot of teams, Cannon, and it's an arrogant statement to say, but I see what I see. I know what I know, and Tennessee is going to be right back in the thick of things, and I feel like the other 2 are, but I can't wait to see y'all in Baton Rouge, and whoever wins, it's one of those things where I'm an LSU fan, but I'm perfectly okay if Tennessee walks out of there, because I love all you guys. But
let me tell you something, Cannon. All those photos and posters behind him, there used to be a wall full of just gold, purple and gold, and now you could see more Tennessee guys back there than anybody.
Well, so that's actually don't mislead him, Daniel. That's because this whole wall to my right is all LSU. Don't do that.
I'm just saying.
And Dylan Cruz is directly across from me with a cigar in his mouth. I'm just saying.
Dylan Cruz needs to be over there in the closet with the other retired.
No, you must have forgotten. No, there's a certain team that owns the closet, and when he says that, Cannon, it's actually because I have no door on it, so you can see the closet wall, so I utilize that space. Wake Forest owns that. But not personal.
I do see a Brock Wilken back there, I think.
But that's the auto, man. That's a 1 of 1.
I'm just saying.
I see an LSU player right there.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Gavin's back there.
Might need to replace that one.
I got 6 that are 1 of 1s. I got Christian Moore, Brock Wilken, Gavin Guidry, Drew Beam, Jake Brown, and Hagen Smith. All solid across the board. We'll get Cannon up there next. But
you said you need to replace Gavin Guidry with Cannon Peebles.
No, Gavin's wearing number 8 this year. Stop it. Team captain. Anyway, all right. So Omaha, man, it's all about opportunity. And you get opportunity. And, man, you were seeing the ball clearly well. I mean, coming up and not coming out because you're getting your opportunity and just saying, hey, I'm going to swing for the fences, taking multiple walks, professional ABs, doing things to help your team. Talk about that mindset, right? When you get the opportunity to start playing on the biggest stage, and not only do you play, but you end up being successful.
Yeah, I mean, I will do whatever it takes to win. Like, ironically, like, I know you named this podcast whatever it takes, but I literally will do whatever it takes to win. And so what I was trying to do there, like, we were in Omaha, man. Like, you're trying to win the national championship. And like I said, everybody on our team was single-minded from the jump. And so, you know, if I was selfish there and just trying to swing for the fences, look cool, and like have a 5% chance of hitting a home run, that's actually a good chance. But you know, having a slim chance of hitting a home run or something just to like look cool, like then we lose. What does that do? Does nothing.
Yeah, and it's the importance of knowing your lineup, right? You know that every guy in the lineup is dangerous. By you getting on base, you're obviously throwing those percentage chances up of y'all scoring runs, because I feel like with that Tennessee lineup, next guy up will absolutely hit the guy on base in, you know. So like I said, a lot of professional ABs, and great opportunity for you to come in and be a part of the mix on the biggest stage. You know, I'll ask this because I feel like this is one of the most important questions. We got to ask Billy the same one. When you make a choice to transfer from one school to another and you win a national championship like you did, you know, just how good does it feel to know that you made the right choice? And I know the right choice doesn't necessarily always mean you end up with the hardware, but you did. And so, you know, how does that feel knowing that you made the choice to come to this school and it played out the way it did?
It feels great. Like, it's kind of like a relief, you know, like a little bit of weight off your shoulder. Not that it was added pressure, because it's not any pressure. Like, you're just going out there and playing. But I wouldn't trade that for the world. You know, like the relationships that I created after I transferred here, and, you know, how the season went and stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't trade that for the world. So it's just nice to know. But honestly, I'm focused on, you know, getting another one, because I want to make history. So,
well, and coming into this year, man, you know, you're going to be one of the leaders of this team. You know, a lot of guys depart. You're one of the upperclassmen. You got a lot of experience. You've put in the time, and you're built for this. Every conversation we've had, and so I know you're stoked to have an opportunity to run it back. And like I said, based upon what I know of you guys coming in, got returning. Just Tony V's record, right? I mean, Omaha has become, you know, an every year thing, and there's no reason to think that this team can't be right back there doing it again. You know, y'all had some big fall games Friday and Sunday. I was actually supposed to be there Sunday. My apologies. But with that, I saw Andrew Fisher hit a bomb in his first AB, which we had him on here. I got to watch him a ton at Ole Miss, and I projected dude to hit 28 bombs. He comes on here. Cannon says he's going to hit 30, which I love it. Most people say it's arrogant, but Duke and Mash, you know, talking about him and some of the other guys like Gavin Kylan come in, you know, you and Billy were those guys last year. How excited are you for those guys who transferred in, who you know are hungry?
I'm really excited because they came to the right place. You know, like, I talked to Keelan over the summer, and even Fisher too. I talked to him over the summer, and we were just talking like before they ever committed, and they were just trying to get a feel for what Tennessee was like. And, you know, I just gave them the real answer. You know, like, we're here to win. We're not here to do anything else. And I think they love that. And so I'm stoked for them, like the same way that me and Billy came in. You know, they got huge roles to fill, and I think they love it here just as much as we do, and we all pretty connected early too. So I think it's going to be a good one, you know, and I'm stoked for them, and I'm stoked for us too to have them.
Yeah, no doubt. So last question I got, I'll turn over to Daniel, and this is an important question. This is the one Daniel wants to know. He's a former pitcher. He's a former pitching coach. We need to know about the guys that are going to be on the bump, man. Tell us about a few guys. You know, obviously, I don't want you to take all night. You don't got to go through the whole roster, but a few guys, man, this fall that's just really good that we need to be excited about.
You know, Snead, right? Mm-hmm. You know, Snead's a big one. Then we got AJ Russell, who's hurt right now, but he's supposed to be back in February, early March, I think. Mm-hmm. But we got a lot of guys. Doyle, big transfer coming in. He has been nothing more than impressive. And catching everybody on our staff right now makes my job easy. Like we have so many. I think our pitching staff now, and this isn't a knock on anybody last year, but I just think our depth is even better this year as far as pitching goes with all the recruiting coming in. That's what I see. And so that gives me comfort and confidence behind the plate too, to be able to catch those guys and create those relationships and help those guys.
Yeah, I mean, we had Arbinson and Franklin on who transferred there, and
Yeah.
I scouted them real well before they came in. I mean, y'all just and you talk about guys that are returning, and getting healthy. You're right. The depth is there, and that's going to matter, man. That was one thing that you're not wrong about. Like, obviously, big time arms last year, but there wasn't very much depth. There was a lot of injuries, so I think that's something that's just going to be advantageous, especially as y'all are trying to work y'all way into this new lineup, right? Replacing a lot of pieces in the lineup. Sometimes it doesn't just happen overnight, but I mean, I just have the utmost faith that it's gonna come together, man. And like I said, if y'all aren't in Omaha, I'll be really, really shocked.
I think we will be. If you don't believe it,
gotta speak it into fruition. Cannon, obviously you had the chance to go play in the Cape, and I am fascinated. Jim's fascinated with the Cape League, just the old school experience of having a host family and being able to play baseball, and just like in these small areas where like that's kind of what you do for the summer. Like you go and you make these relationships, these connections, and it's all through a game that everybody loves. But talk to me a little bit about the experience, just being there.
It's a grind. That's the first thing that comes to mind is like, you're going every single day. Like you don't have much of, let's say you got one off day a week, but the weather is so bipolar up there that on your off days, you have a game or a makeup game because 13 days ago it rained out one game. And so 13 games later out of 13 days on your off day, you have a game. But being around a bunch of guys from different schools, I think is the biggest thing because you get to like pick their brains. That's the biggest part. I got to play with Mason White up there, who's a shortstop at Arizona. He's a really cool guy. A guy we actually just played on Sunday, named Blake Cavill, from Troy. He was on Team Australia. And so it's just fun to be able to pick different guys' brains. And so that's my biggest experience up there is like meeting new people is like, it makes it fun.
Have you seen
think about the grind? Like it makes it fun to be out there.
I think that prepares you, because you're a guy who's going to have a professional future. Daniel, we agree that's going to get the minor league grind. Like that gives you a taste of that.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of get into that mentality. Like it's such an interesting dynamic from being at a high caliber SEC program where, with all due respect, Cannon, you have a lot of things. Like it's an unbelievable facility that you get to practice in, and you have a lot of things at your disposal that when you go to minor leagues, a lot of those things, depending on where you're at, you may not necessarily have. And I'm thinking in terms of the Cape League in and of itself as a prime example, like of how much of a grind. Like people don't understand. Like you don't get to play on those beautiful turf fields all the time. Now you're going back to the community taking care of the field, and you might have a grounds crew, but like you're having to like go back to the old school mentality of like you might be helping out with some of the day-to-day duties of preparing to play a baseball game that have nothing to do with actual game play.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of cool. It's humbling in a sense. It grounds you, but it also lets you build relationships, like you said, with people that are important to that community and the game of baseball around it. Have you seen the movie Summer Catch?
Yeah, it's about Chatham, right?
Yeah, it is. It's about Chatham. And what's that?
Who's in it? Who plays the main guy? I think it's Jimmy Fallon, right?
Freddie Prinze Jr.
No, Jimmy Fallon is the Red Sox movie.
Yeah.
Fever Pitch.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
do you know who the arch rival of the Chatham A's is in Summer Catch?
No.
You probably wore a uniform for them.
Hyenas.
Yeah.
Was it
Hyenas. Yeah, it was. That was their rival in that movie.
They absolutely rocked him in the first matchup.
Yeah, just rocked them. They didn't know what they were doing. But they went out, they had a few drinks, and then the summer just got ultimately better. And
yeah, it's funny how they made that work, right, Daniel?
Yeah.
I mean, drinking makes for good baseball players.
I guess. So here's the thing. Jim and I have an opportunity. Well, we want to have an opportunity to go and experience the Cape League. We don't necessarily need to stay the whole summer, but we would like to stay a significant amount of time and talk to host families, talk to players, experience games at multiple different areas, and kind of just see what it's like as a baseball player on that grind, because we love the Cape and we love just the fascination that we have for that league is built off the movie, but also just something that's near and dear to our hearts, especially being baseball guys. So what advice for first-time Cape guys would you give us if we went there?
A little bit every day goes a long way, like as far as your routines and stuff go, because you say like at these big schools we have a lot, right? You go up there, some places you have nothing, like nothing, like seriously. And so
you're like, I gotta wash my own uniform.
Yeah, I mean, it's how it is. I mean, every single night I wash my own uniform this year, and so now I didn't have to do that, but I didn't want to. Sometimes they wouldn't be dry, so I just started doing it on my own. But anyways, the best advice is make relationships with other guys, and just kick it with them off the field, because it's going to go a long way. And it's going to make it that much more fun on the field. And so if you go up there and you attack every day like you would at your school or, anywhere else, it's going to separate itself. Like there's guys who go up there and like don't take it serious. Now you got to have fun, but they don't take it serious, and it kind of shows. If that
Daniel,
makes sense.
he's saying you need to go build relationships so you can get somebody to hook you up and let you, turn back the clock and pitch one game.
Yeah.
Let me just let me warm up in the bullpen and let people think I'm gonna go in the game. That's the ticket right there.
Look,
I don't even need a uniform with a number. I'll just leave my warm up on and throw in the pen.
What's funny is you don't notice me saying that I'll go out there, Cannon. If there's anything I know, I wasn't a baseball player. I was just good enough to play slow pitch softball and hit a ball that was being lobbed up to me. So I have no interest in going out there and playing. I will stay spectating, recording video, and doing that. I will let Daniel do all the work. Baseball is not my game, which is interesting because Daniel seemed to know it pretty well for a guy who didn't play it. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
which is why I led the show with the Freddie Freeman clip. Cannon, we predicted him as our X factor. And now that comment was, I said, if Freddie Freeman gets hot, this series is over. And that was before the World Series started. Now, that's a record. 5 straight World Series games with a home run. That's an insane stat.
It is. He's good.
I would take 1 for 5 every game if my one hit was a home run.
Well, if you remember, so we, the biggest name we've had on here, because we usually stick to college, but because he's from right down the street, we had Austin Riley on here when the Braves team was on their way to the World Series, and he sat here and told me and Daniel about Freddie Freeman. I mean, you could tell, Daniel, was it not like he was fanboying his own teammate, just talking about Freddie Freeman? So when we see this, we're not like the least bit surprised because Austin ends up being a first-team All-MLB guy that year, and yet he talks about this guy like he doesn't belong in the same locker room as him. So it really just tells us, as we see Freddie, we're not surprised because we've had somebody who's had the inside look say that he is that dude.
Well, and the one big thing that I took away from what Austin was saying about Freddie is that everyone knows how good of a baseball player Freddie Freeman is. Austin was telling us the things that makes him just a good person. And like the things that you don't hear, because you know all about Freddie Freeman. You know he's a great baseball player. But what you don't know is what he does in the community, what time he gets at the ballpark, what time he leaves the ballpark, who he talks to, who he interacts with at the ballpark, how he helps, rake the dirt, how he helps drag the dirt, how he helps
I'll say the thing
water
I
the
do
grass.
notice about him that he solidified. He always looks like he's having fun playing baseball, and that's something Cannon talked about earlier. And I think sometimes guys get lost in that, right? Man, they forget how much fun it's supposed to be. This guy's playing at the highest level and always still smiling, and I think that's important.
Not Kiki Hernandez fun, but just like
Hey, we
fun.
got to ask Cannon. We haven't asked a single guest that. Ask it, Daniel, in a PG way.
What do you think about hip thrusting your teammates? Is that the new their daddy?
No, they start doing that
hat
at Tennessee. I ain't
now?
coming back, bro. Ever.
That's
Kiki
what I.
Hernandez is a little bit suspicious here and there.
I'm just saying, if I see Cannon and Andrew Fisher do that, I'm out, man. I'm getting in my car. I'm never coming back.
Hey,
never know.
It is what it is. I mean, but it's just like it would throw me off. Like if that's what he did, if that's your thing, right now, everyone knows that's your thing. But at first, I think I would be shocked, like big time, and I'd be like, "Did he just? Yeah, okay, all right, well."
The awkward conversation in the locker room to him.
Right.
Hey, what made you want to do that?
I might do. Hey, if you're at a regional jam, I might do it and sneak something in there just to
do it. Do it. Could you imagine the Vol Nation Twitter video of that? Oh man, that would.
But I think, hey, you know what though? If you're cool enough, to go back, right? Like Drew Gilbert could do no wrong with the Tennessee fan base. He's the kind of guy that if him and Jordan Beck would have done it, they would have been okay. They'd have been like, you know what, man, this is the thing now. So I think it depends on your status, right, within the Vol. So if you're the right guy, I think you can get away with it.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, Jim, we got before we play this or that and let Cannon get out of here, we got some business to handle. We got to grow the game. We got some guests of the week. We got do betters. We got it all. And I got to do better that I just thought of, and I can't believe we talked this morning, and I can't believe I didn't bring this up to you. But I'll
go ahead and let's start with your do better. Then I'll do my three things.
Do better. The Miami Heat need to do better with their statue of Dwayne Wade. If you haven't seen it, the Miami Heat honored Dwayne Wade with his own bronze statue outside the arena, and it looks not a thing like Dwayne Wade. And the funny part is they're making this big celebration, this big unveil to him, because I think this is the first time he's seeing it, which is just asinine to me. But you could tell he was not thrilled with the outcome of this statue. So
not the way he
do better.
He's paying people on the street to vandalize his own statue, like spray paint my face. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I saw the memes and I didn't know what it was at first. Daniel, I'm like, I don't understand what I'm looking at because it had the picture of the big three, but Dwayne Wade's face all messed up, and I didn't get it at first, and then I saw it, and so at first I was so confused. But my do better. We'll start backwards since you started there. We talked about it on this morning show. Tyreek Stevenson. I don't know if you got to see it, Cannon, but the Chicago Bears defensive back. As Jaden Daniels is starting a play for Hail Mary, is taunting fans. And not only is that just stupid within itself, he would then be in the play, as Daniel talked about. And we played football, and football was my sport. And if there's anything you don't tip the ball up, you bat it down. And like Daniel said, you don't let the receiver get behind you. This dude let all that happen after taunting, and they scored. So, Tyreek, do better, man. Do your job and quit all that other foolishness.
Cannon, did you see this play that Jim's talking about? All right. So this Tyreek Stevenson guy. So long story short, Bears go down, score a touchdown, and all intents and purposes, the game should have been over. They should have won.
They got to complete like a 65-yard pass as time expires in order to win.
Washington gets the ball. They have a chance. Jaden Daniels, can throw the ball. So and the throw is not it's a 65-yard. It's like a 50-yard throw to the end zone. He throws it about 60 yards towards the back of the.
No. He threw it from the 35. He threw it 65 in the air.
Okay. So, but anyhow, the Tyreek Stevenson is turned towards the fans, and the ball is snapped, and players are moving as he's still turned towards the fans and flexing and doing all this. About 3 seconds, it seems like, goes by. He turns around and realizes, oh, okay, now I've got to get into this play because the receivers are trucking down the field. He makes a beeline from one end of the end zone all the way to where the ball's thrown. And I give him credit. He's the first guy to get there, and he jumps up and out jumps everybody, and he tips the ball backwards. And all the guys rush up to the little pile where the ball is. He tips it backwards, and whoever the guy is that's standing there, I can't think of his name.
Brown. He's just standing there all by himself.
Nope. He's like,
he literally fell right into his hands.
Shocked that the ball falls in his hands. He's like, oh, okay. So long story short, it would be like your center fielder turned around talking to the fans, getting some popcorn while the pitch is being delivered.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Jim said, Tyreek Stevenson, you gotta do better, bro.
Grow the game, man. We're gonna take it to soccer field. Cannon on the show, we do all sports. I was bragging about the Freddie Freeman thing, Daniel. I'm not going to be humble about this. Mississippi State wasn't even ranked in college soccer before they came on the show. We had their two best players, their captains. We had both their coaches, Daniel. We predicted them to win a national championship. People treated us like we were crazy. Daniel, they are now ranked number 1 in the country, the longest win streak, undefeated in the SEC with 1 game left to play. Grow the game. They have set the attendance record 4 different times this year, Daniel. With every opportunity, they're setting the record. Shout out Mississippi State women's soccer, getting it done, Daniel. They're going to win a national championship, and we're going to celebrate with them. Old Dominic style, because the coaches like the Old Dominic, our sponsor. But and then IOTB guest of the week, man. Had to go with our dude Seth Hennigan, quarterback from Memphis. Probably didn't get to see it either, Cannon, but gets the ball with like a minute 50 left. Just executes a masterful drive with an absolute dime to the corner.
7 plays, 75 yards.
Just masterful. Puts it on the money to Rock Taylor to win the game. So we got to give it to our dude Seth Hennigan. When you execute a drive with less than 2 minutes left to win the game, you get player of the week. And so Dylan Sampson was off this week, Daniel, so we couldn't give it to the Tennessee football player on the Tennessee baseball episode. But if I do come Saturday, I already texted him and told him anything less than 3 touchdowns, Daniel, I'm pissed off.
We shall see. It's a big road.
I think he's actually 2 from the single season record at Tennessee.
Go ahead, Dylan. Get some. There's been some decent running backs at Tennessee.
Yeah, I say.
Pretty decent. All right, Cannon, we're going to play a game called This or That before you get out of here, man. Obviously, you may not have heard, but This or That is sweeping the nation. We've played it with players from all over the nation, and you are in it. You're a part of that group. So
actually I counted finally, because obviously it was going to take a lot of time, Daniel. It'd have been cooler if he was number 450. We could market this episode different. I probably could have lied and nobody would have known, but I'm going to keep it honest. I'm going to be a man of integrity, but he is guest number 449.
449.
It's like the distance of his last bomb.
Jim, This or That is brought to you by and plug them, because I got to get my stuff right behind me and get this ready.
865 Bomb Squad Apparel. My dude Jay is working hard for the players in Knoxville. If you're not familiar, 865 is the Knoxville area code. You can get your swag, all sorts of different stuff. Cannon, if I'm not mistaken, you are part of it, correct?
Yes.
So with that, not only are we plugging 865 Bomb Squad, specifically, go get your Cannon Peebles merch. I got CMO on this year. Got to get me some new stuff. So I'm going to go with Cannon myself. And so, yeah, go out there. They make the best apparel that you'll find in Knoxville. Got to be wearing it if you're going to Lindsey Nelson this spring. But with that being said, Daniel, put your headphones back on and plug the other sponsor.
I am ready. Old Dominic Distillery. I told you guys, 150 years of tradition. Off the top, heart of downtown Memphis, bourbon to vodka, whiskey to gin. Old Dominic's got you covered. And boy, do they got you covered. They hooked me up, Jim. Let me tell you something. I had a request for some good bourbon, some good whiskey, and they sent me some good stuff. And tonight, we're going to sample now I had a 4-year cask. This time they sent me the 6-year cask, and it is going to be fire. And when I say fire, it's 122 proof.
And let me tell you what's a good episode to do it on too, Cannon. I told them, ironically, as we talked about the Knoxville regional, Daniel knows this, told the owners of Old Dominic I was going to be heading there. This is a Tennessee bourbon that is not located. They do not have a distillery over on the East Coast. They don't have many stores that carry it. They said, here, literally hand me a case of 6 bottles, which are very expensive, and say, go give it out at the Tennessee tailgates to all the parents and everything. And so just showing their generosity, Tennessee taking care of Tennessee. And so it was cool, man. I felt like the man. Ain't nothing better than walking into tailgates and you got free alcohol for everybody.
Yeah.
For real. So tonight, I will first start with the bottle. And for those of you that don't know much about whiskey and bourbon, you got to start with the bottle. The bottle itself, you can't really tell, but at the bottom, it looks like if you were to cover it all up, it looks like a whiskey glass. How about that, right? It's made with a certified cork top, keeps the taste, gives me a nice little pop. Let me pour me a little finger of this.
This isn't something we do with all the guests. It's special. We don't drink alcohol with college guys. We feel comfortable with Cannon.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling comfortable. I mean, let me tell you what we're looking at here. We're looking at,
and this is
a nice. Yeah, ask questions, please.
Old Dominic.
Old Dominic Distillery, man. All right. So the first thing I get is a little bit of spice, a little honey, or I'm sorry, a little cinnamon, and a little honey. Smell it. I hope it tastes like that, because there's nothing more than like a heavy proofed whiskey or bourbon that I'm like, let me get a little sweetness with it, a little sweetness with my fire. So,
Moment of truth.
And he'll tell the truth too. He don't lie. He does it with the seeds too. He mixed all the seed flavors up. What was good, and what was bad, he told the truth. So he'll do the same thing with bourbon.
ooh, this one, it lingers a little bit. So some take a little bit to hit you, some hit you right away, and some kind of linger and kind of fizz and kind of like really you get a little intensity over time, and that's what this one's doing. But a little bit of caramel, a little bit of honey, a little bit of cinnamon, maybe some vanilla, but cast barrel really does the trick. It really opens it up. It really gives it a nice punch, and that's what I like. It's not all overwhelming at first. You get it over time. So, ooh, nice little burn on the end. So, big fan of this, Jim. The 6-year cask bourbon whiskey, Old Dominic's.
Wait till you have that bonded that I sent you.
I thought about opening it, but then I was like,
me, man. I like to mix stuff. I don't like to drink it straight. I drink that bonded straight up all day.
For those of you that want to know, this is a corn rye malted barley mix. It's mostly corn, then a significant amount of rye, and then a malted barley. So for those snobs out there that want to know all the particulars about it. So there you go. Very good. Very, very good. This is one that I wouldn't drink. Like if I'm going to have multiple drinks, it's not one I would drink all night, but it is one that I nice little nightcap to end the night with.
I did want to plug our other sponsor by asking Cannon a question. Got to know, because we went with Old Dominic tonight, not Chinook Seedery. Cannon, what's your favorite flavor of Chinook seeds?
I don't think I've had many, but I have had them before.
You have to. They're in your dugout, man. Not a seed guy.
Oh, I like the zesty ranch from Biggs.
Oh man, you can't be plugging Biggs on our show, dude. Should have just said the ranch from old.
Oh
man,
do that to me. That's crazy.
No, you're good. Hey, I will expect to see you with some shook. Your ambassador is Hunter Inslee. I will text Hunter and make sure he gives you the flavors and we get you right. No more Biggs.
Tell him, okay? Tell him you want a bag of smokehouse barbecue and a bag of cinnamon toast.
I've had them before. They're great.
But no, he's telling you about a special thing that he invented himself.
So this is what you do. You take, I don't know, 2/3. I don't know how much you put in your mouth at a time. So a handful. Let's call it a handful. 2/3 of a handful of smokehouse barbecue, 1/3 of the handful cinnamon toast, and it'll change your life. It's called the smoking toast.
I love it.
Smoking toast. Smoking toast. I'm telling you, like, it'll change your life. That'll be your thing. You'll be behind the dish spitting seeds out at the umpire, at the opposing batter, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, what's that smell? I like that. Let me get some."
What's funny is if it's Javero January, his favorite flavor is smokehouse barbecue. So he's probably gonna be like, Cannon, man, hook a brother up with a bag. But all that said, Daniel, we got to play this or that, man. I'm curious on some of these questions.
All right, first question out the gate. It's very well. Make sure you know the rules. Give you two options. Can't say both. Can't say neither. Got to be decisive. Go with your head. Go with your heart. Go with your gut. Go with something and just pick one. Got it?
Gotcha.
All right. Coffee or energy drink?
Coffee.
How do you take your coffee? You put sugar and creamer and all that, or you straight?
Well, sometimes I put raw honey in it, but that's it.
Ooh, raw honey. That sounds like a nice fall coffee. I like it. All right. Hard shell taco or soft shell taco?
Hard shell taco.
For sure.
Yeah.
Who has a better mascot in minor league baseball? The Rumble Pony or the Mud Hen? Which is a better mascot?
The Rumble Pony.
Yeah, that's a pretty sweet mascot. I haven't seen the hat yet. I'm waiting for Jim to.
I'm waiting on Drew Gilbert to send it, man. Tell Drew to step his game up.
Yeah. All right. What about the Biscuits or the Rubber Ducks?
The Biscuits, for sure.
Yeah. Got to go with the Biscuits, Montgomery Biscuits. What about the Yard Goats or the Trash Pandas?
Trash Pandas.
Oh, yeah.
Which that one's a cool one when we talk about Tennessee players, Cannon. I got the Yard Goats and Trash Pandas hats over there, signed Christian Moore on the Trash Pandas, and then Chase Dolander on the Yard Goats. So that's the whole thing why I said Gilbert. I don't like to buy the hats unless I have a player from said team to sign them. So Gilbert's the only Rumble Pony we've had. So waiting on him, man. I won't get one unless he will sign it first. So need him to answer. Drew Gilbert, do better.
Come on, Drew. Come through in the clutch. All right. Who hits better bombs, Blake Burke or Christian Moore?
And before you duck this question, every Tennessee guest from last year's had to answer. So you're going to have to pick one of your boys.
Don't be ducking now.
Burke.
Oh.
The only answer. Look, I love Simo, and he was the winner of Survivor, and he should have been the Golden Spikes winner by my account and SEC Player of the Year. But at the end of the day, Blake's swing is the closest thing I've seen to Ken Griffey, which is saying a lot.
Smooth. I like it when he does the little bat drop. Go ahead, homer, and he'll just throw the bat like as soon as he finishes his swing, he'll just drop it.
We were actually talking about that. So Freddie Freeman, who we were talking about earlier, so when he hits that grand slam walk-off, he held the sword up, held the bat up kind of like a knight would a sword in battle or whatever, and then just dropped it. And it's funny you talk about Blake dropping it. I think the drop is cooler than the flip at this point. Like, man, when you just drop it, I don't know, smooth, like you said, at the end of a swing. I don't know. It's nice.
Yeah, I think it's got a little more swagger to it.
For sure.
Now I'm gonna watch Cannon's first home run of the season and see what he does. Does he flip it? Does he drop it? Does he throw it? I'm interested now.
He's gonna hold it in the air like a sword.
Just carry it around the bases.
Yeah.
Don't even drop it at all.
We'll see.
Go take it to your
on the basis if it's a walk-off grand slam in the College World Series.
Oh, you could.
What I would do is
you could do whatever you want at that point. You could go bash somebody in the field with it. It wouldn't matter.
That situation.
I'm trying to think because I was there and I watched Tommy White in Game 1 hit the walk-off, but I don't remember. I don't know. I like blacked out in that moment. It's funny, Daniel. All these guests talk. Drew Gilbert. Speaking of, he said he don't remember any of it. He blacked out. Like I think I blacked out as a fan. I don't even remember what he did either.
He probably doesn't either. I mean, that ball left so fast. I mean,
it really is a crazy thing. And we've had 3 or 4 guys who've had walk-off home runs in the biggest of moments, and every single one of them says they can't remember anything. It's crazy.
I mean, that's just what happens.
For show, luxury swimming pool or the beach? Which would you prefer?
Beach. Yeah. Beach. Natural.
Okay.
Next question's not very good anymore.
Yankees or Dodgers? Or should I just say Dodgers or the Dodgers?
Yeah.
What Dodgers?
If he would, it'd be great. He went bold and said Yankees, even though they're down 4-0 in 2 games.
I almost said, you never know.
Hear me out. Did they not just put a documentary out on the Red Sox coming back 3-0? Wouldn't it just be like full circle if the Yankees just did that?
Yeah, I actually started that too.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me ask you a question about this series. I'm just asking you from a baseball player like yourself, but just in general, even as a fan, like, me and Daniel talked about it earlier, and it's only gotten worse. Coming into the game, Aaron Judge was 1 for 9. He's now 0 for 3, which makes him 1 for 12. Especially when you play for New York, who's a ruthless fan base. If let's say they get swept out for all intents and purposes, and he doesn't do anything, like, does this tarnish the legacy? And regular season MVP is cool, but man, coming up with 1 hit in the World Series is a bummer.
Yeah, I think it's baseball, and I think it's just bad timing. It's not like, I don't think it has anything to do with him. I just think it has everything to do with timing. And I think first of all, he deserves all of the respect from every single fan out there, and no matter what his performance is already. But I think on the other hand, I think he'll have a lot more opportunity to perform in the playoffs. So I think he can turn it around.
I think you see what the problem is because, Billy came on here and talked about him slumping in Omaha, right? But he had teammates to pick him up. Unfortunately, nobody's picking Aaron up. That's the issue at hand, right? Like, nobody else is hitting either. And to your point about it may not be – maybe at some point, Daniel, we just got to say that the Dodgers pitching staff is doing their thing, maybe, because, nobody's hitting.
I mean, there was a time where Clayton Kershaw couldn't win a big playoff game to save his life, and then all of a sudden he wins a World Series. So, I mean, it's timing. It's a lot of things. I'm not counting him out to turn it around, but obviously when you pay a guy that much money, there's a little bit of ROI that you want for that paycheck. But I will say this, like, anybody who wants more out of the guy, yeah, of course you want more out of him in the playoffs when it really matters, but you wouldn't be where you're at without him. So, I mean, that's your return right there. So, all right, last question, Cannon, and we'll let you run. Would you rather spend 10 years in a coma or 5 years in prison? So would you rather have a 10-year nap or 5 years of hard time?
5 years of hard time.
Really?
Oh,
I don't think I could handle 10 years of missing like everything. I don't know if I could handle that. That's the only reason that I would go that way.
So I question
Yeah,
you not you I think you could handle the sleeping part just fine. I think it's when you wake up.
but,
Is that what
but
you're
he's
concerned
talking
about?
about he doesn't want to miss 10 years. I mean, he'll be in his 30s, man.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
What
The waking
if
part, yeah, it doesn't sit right with me.
what if you woke up but you were still like you still were like athletically where you left off? You were just 10 years older.
Well, I wouldn't have any experience. I'd have been in a coma.
But you know that ain't happening anyway, Daniel.
Yeah.
His body is going to be anything but athletic laying there for 10 years.
I
But
don't know,
nice
maybe
hypothetical.
maybe with AI and like
Well, what about working
technology,
in prison?
I mean,
Hey, they got some. Hey, depending on where he goes, Daniel, I've seen some pictures.
you're working out in prison ain't to get it's not to stay athletically gifted and better at baseball.
But
It's
Daniel, I've seen
you
depending on
stay
what prison he went to, there's some baseball teams at these things. And Cannon gets sent to the right place, man. He's doing his thing on the diamond. Guards are betting on him. You know what? He's protected.
I mean, say hello to Wander Franco while you're there, buddy. Enjoy that time. No, I don't know. We used
Daniel's
to.
scared of prison. Plain out, clear.
It's not that I'm scared. Here's what I know. At 40, I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And giving me the option of sleeping or going to jail, I know that going to sleep and waking up and going to sleep and I can do that 10 days out of 10. I can't do prison. Not going to, don't want to, not my thing, ain't for me. I know that I would not be good at that. So give me that long nap and then I'll wake up and figure it out from there. But Cannon, you're more of a man than I am. That's all I can say. You want that prison life, man.
No.
I know. The hypothetical is what it is. Like we put you on the spot to pick one. And like, hey, I will say you are one of many that picked prison. So there you go.
There we go.
All right. Anything you want to plug or promote before you get out of here? Social media, any NIL stuff, anything that you feel passionate about, or you just want to say hello to mom and dad? Now's your chance.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Look at that. What a man of a family man, a character guy. I mean, let's go. That's how you end it right there. Jim, anything else before I sign us off of here?
Yeah, changes in the schedule. I like that. It works out. Flexibility. We had Laviolette bringing Shot on. Obviously Laviolette's a returning guest. They had to reschedule, so we actually had to get Garrett Michael from Virginia Tech back in because we had to reschedule his. So that works out. So Wednesday, going to Blacksburg, man.
Blacksburg, Virginia. The Virginia Tech Hokies. First time we've had a Virginia Tech player on. That's
Trayton Hughes has been on.
Okay. Second time we've had a Virginia Tech player. That's what happens when you have 400 guests on.
449.
At this point in the game, like we just make the assumption that we've had every school on. But
yeah, the only thing that matters is who has the most. That's how you know it's time to go. The alarm.
Is that the alarm or is that a phone call?
It's a phone call. But I was saying it.
I didn't know if you could hear that. I was hoping you couldn't, but
let's take a guess. Who is calling Cannon Peebles at 10:50 at night? I bet it ain't mom. That's all I'm going to say.
Probably like none of your business, dude.
Probably right. But happened on our show, so
Hey, I'll tell you a great
Fire
Hoosier
minds
story.
wanna
Before
know.
we sign off, I do got to tell this because I almost forgot it happened until right now, Daniel. We had a Tennessee basketball player on here, not to be mentioned, who got called by Rick Barnes on our show and getting chewed out. Not anything to do with our show, but it was still rolling, and we weren't live. I had to decide, Cannon, I kind of wanted to really keep it on the show so everybody could see, but obviously I didn't. I couldn't do it like that. But it was funny. We're just sitting there in silence, watching him, listening, and it's you could tell he's getting ripped apart. And yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Demeanor, his demeanor on his face, he just lost his soul right there on camera. It was an awkward situation, but
I wasn't surprised when he hit the transfer portal, Daniel.
Me neither. Rick, let him have it that night. All right, let's get out of here. Another great episode. Cannon, cheers to you. Hopefully you have a nice, successful, safe, injury-free season where hopefully, you guys are doing another magical season. And if that's the case, well, if it's not the case, we're still going to bring you back on. We're going to go over it. We're going to talk about it, recap it, do all that good stuff. But I appreciate Cannon, you joining us. If you like hearing Cannon's story or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on X, listen and subscribe wherever you stream your podcast. As always, go over to YouTube, click subscribe, hit the notifications because you will be the first to know when we upload new content. It goes up every day. We had headlines this morning. We have Cannon Peebles today. We have all kinds of stuff every day going up there. So make sure you hit the notifications. That way you are the first to know. As always, comments, ratings, feedback, thumbs up, hearts, hugs, loves. We'll take it all. We'll see everybody on Wednesday night. Jim, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What's the rest of the week look like?
Man, I don't even know. I'm trying to reschedule a bunch of stuff. We'll just stick with knowing Garrett's Wednesday and leave it at that.
All right.
Me and Mike, Pros and Joes, maybe, since we're on a Tennessee episode, I might as well at least say Christian Moore and Blake Burke is a possibility if the schedule falls right. So look out for that.
That's a week of Tennessee. Wow. A lot of Tennessee guys.
What is when you win, bro?
Hey, gotta do it. Gotta do it. As always, this has been the End Off the Bench podcast. Strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.